we often talk about your father, Chris Ledoux. You continue to carry on his legacy through your music, and an incredible duet that you give us on this. Talk about that song.
Yeah, so One Hand in the Riggin'. So we're talking like maybe 21 or 22 years ago. And there was this young up-and-coming singer-songwriter by the name of Bryn Hill out of Utah. And, he was a big fan of Dad's. And he had written this song, and he asked Dad if he'd like to sing on it with him. And Dad took a listen to it and said, yeah, that's a good rodeo song. And so Dad went into a studio for the very last time and laid down his vocal track to this song. But the part of the story I don't really know too much about. But as they say, for some unforeseen circumstance, Dad's vocal never made the cut. And so it more or less kind of sat on a shelf for over 20 years. And I got to be friends with Bryn a long time ago. And we'd always run into each other in Elko for the Cowboy Poetry Gathering. And we got to talking about this song. And Bryn said, I think maybe the timing just wasn't right back then. And how the Lord has a plan for everything. I said, yeah. He said, I think what his plan is for this to be a duet with you and your dad. And I said, we're on the same page. And so we went in the studio and, recorded it and everything. I put down my vocal track, and then I had to get back home because we had some shows to play. And then meanwhile, Mac got Dad's vocal track and plugged it into the mix. And so the first time I ever heard it was the final mix of me and Dad singing side by side. And it's still awesome to hear.
I got to tell